Welcome, everyone. Let's dive into the discussion on America's pivot and the accelerating move towards de dollarization and the increasing spotlight on gold and precious metals.
I'm excited to unpack this. So, we're talking about how America's foreign policy is shifting priorities, right?
Exactly. It's like the US is intentionally distancing itself from its reliance on the dollar and exploring alternatives during what seems like a turbulent economic period.
Mm-hmm. And that means we're seeing more discussion about gold and other hard assets as safe havens, correct?
Yes, indeed. Gold and even silver are being framed as shields against the collapse of fiat currencies, as market participants start questioning the long term sustainability of traditional central bank policies.
Right, there's this idea circulating that with aggressive monetary policies, we're inching closer to a kind of systemic failure in fiat systems.
Precisely. The
Yeah.
narrative here is that fiscal irresponsibility, especially in monetary expansion, is creating the perfect storm for devaluation, and that naturally feeds into the allure of gold.
And wouldn't you say that this is partly driven by geopolitical maneuvers too, like the US foreign policy shifting its stance?
Exactly, it's like the geopolitical stage is evolving. With the BRICS nations and others, there's a clear push to diminish the dollar's hegemony.
Mm-hmm. Geopolitics and economics are so intertwined. But what impresses me is that there's a whole network of alternative investment channels helping people secure these precious metals.
Absolutely. And it's not just big institutions. There are platforms, dedicated merchants, even online retailers offering direct access to physical gold and silver, aimed at shielding investors from the risks of fiat collapse.
Right? And I think it's remarkable how these channels bring a bit of decentralized security into an otherwise centralized system, don't you think?
Yeah, it's like imagine trying to protect your savings with a digital key that can just vanish. So physical assets, especially gold, act like a backup plan.
Hmm. But here's something I'm mulling over. Is it really a matter of America deliberately de-dollarizing, or is it more about a global reaction to unsustainable fiscal policies?
That's a good point. It's both, really. On one hand, US foreign policy does seem to accelerate de dollarization through its actions and strategic partnerships. On the other hand, it's a global sentiment born out of distrust in ever expanding central bank policies.
Yeah, I get that. And when you add in the discussions on inflation and how it might trigger cascading failures, it paints a dire picture for those holding purely fiat currencies.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that these ideas, while alarming, also open up opportunities for alternative investments, like gold. It becomes a sort of safety net against an unstable economic environment.
Right, it's like the ultimate financial insurance policy. But do you think these assertions sometimes overstate the risk of a sudden collapse?
That's a valid critique. Sure, the risk is real, but the timeline and extent of any potential collapse are up for debate. Some might argue that central banks can still steer the ship, while others see these moves as inevitable signals of a deeper systemic flaw.
Mm-hmm. So it's a bit of a divide, skeptics versus alarmists. But regardless, the push for de-dollarization is building up in political and economic discourse.
Exactly. And it's fascinating because this isn't just about economics, it's also about power dynamics on the global stage. As the US struggles to maintain its economic influence, other players are keen to break the dollar's monopoly.
Yeah, kind of like a power play where every nation is exploring ways to bypass traditional financial constraints.
Right, it's like if you imagine an orchestra where one instrument has long been the lead, and now the ensemble is trying to find its own rhythm without that lead.
Mm-hmm. Nice analogy. And this shift naturally brings gold into the mix as a trusted medium, doesn't it?
Exactly, gold's history as a universal store of value makes it an obvious beneficiary of these shifts. Investors see it as a tangible asset when paper currencies start to look a bit too flimsy, you know?
Yeah, it's like if you're not sure about the future of your banknotes, you might just hold on to something that's been precious for centuries.
Absolutely. And that strategy is backed up by all sorts of contrarian views that have been circulating online. There's a whole underground network of voices urging people to, well, get ready for a potential currency meltdown and hold on to precious metals.
It's a bit of a movement, almost like a counter revolution against mainstream economic policies.
Exactly. And interestingly, while some of these ideas are injected with a sense of panic, there's also a strategic component. It's about preparedness.
Right? So it's not just fear mongering, it's a kind of active defense against uncertain monetary policy and geopolitical tension.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway. And the channels promoting these ideas are, well, very diversified, ranging from YouTube channels to online forums. They even tie in practical advice on how to secure physical assets.
But here's a thought. Isn't it a bit ironic that the very platforms sharing this do so partly for promotional revenue? There seems to be a commercial angle too.
Sure, you've got a point there. There's a delicate balance between raising awareness and exploiting the fear for profit. That commercial element does muddy the waters a bit.
It almost makes you wonder about underlying motives.
Exactly. And while the technical arguments about de-dollarization and fiat collapse stand up on their own, the commercial influences add another layer of complexity to the discussion.
Right? Investors should always be cautious, both about the underlying economic signals and the potential for conflicting interests from those promoting precious metals.
Yep, it's like managing a diversified portfolio where you acknowledge both the risks of a collapsing fiat system and the biases of the voices telling you to buy gold.
And speaking of portfolios, I find it fascinating how these narratives tie into a broader conversation about central bank policies and global power shifts.
Exactly. It's not just about economics in isolation, it's a full spectrum: geopolitics, monetary stability, and even investor psychology. Imagine a domino effect where policy decisions in one part of the world trigger evaluations in another.
Right. And that's why discussions like these really resonate with people. Every little change in policy or market sentiment feels like it could be the start of something much bigger.
Absolutely. And while there's abundant debate on the inevitability and timing of these events, the consensus remains that the current trajectory is shaking up long held monetary traditions.
And regardless of where you stand on the exact outcomes, the move towards de-dollarization and the emphasis on gold seems like a prudent consideration for many.
Exactly. It's like being prepared for a storm. You hope it never comes, but you get your umbrella ready just in case.
Yeah, well put. And it's discussions like these that really underscore how economics and geopolitics are evolving in unison.
Indeed, and for anyone tuning in, the key takeaway is to stay informed, evaluate multiple perspectives, and be prepared to adapt as global policies shift.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating, albeit complex topic that will undoubtedly continue to shape the financial landscape in the years to come.
Exactly. And with that, let's hope everyone's making smart, informed decisions, whether that's diversifying portfolios or simply understanding the profound changes in today's monetary system.
Right on. Let's keep the conversation going and stay curious about what the future holds.
Thanks for joining in on this deep dive into America's move away from the dollar and the potential golden opportunities on the horizon.
Thanks everyone for listening. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions on these economic shifts.